Yihiratzon, Parashat Mishpatim, 57:81. The learning should be levafuat kol hacholim, v'tucham Tanya Bat Oda Margalit, Yosef Yair ben Aviv Chava, Harav Sivan ben Sima, Tokol Shal Cholei Yisrael. We know the concept Shloshim Yom Lifnei Achag, Dorshim B'Ilchot Achag. 30 days before any holiday, we have to start dealing with the holiday. And obviously, the idea of this halacha is twofold. Number one, you will only connect to a holiday through the preparation for it. The only way to really have a holiday affect us is not by experiencing it when it is, but by starting it before, and therefore recognizing that only through the preparation will the holiday be internalized. The second side of Shloshim Yom is that although maybe the day itself is on a certain date, the effect of it is much bigger. And so even though Purim is not a month away, we're 3 weeks away, we do want to have to enter into the depth of what Purim is about in order for us to really experience the redemption from Haman. And the first question that we want to develop is the story of Amalek. There is no way to enter into the story of Purim without analyzing Amalek. So the question obviously is why? Why is it so important to understand Amalek? And the answer is that it's very emphasized with Haman that he was Agagi. And the idea of Agagi was that he was the descendant of Agag, which was the Melech of Amalek. And the idea of the Megillah and the hatred that Haman has did not begin from Haman. It began in Shmot Perek Yud Zayin, Pasuk Yud, with the war against Amalek. And so the simple question to ask when the Torah describes Vayavo Amalek, Vayilachem im Yisrael b'Refidim, the obvious question when it says Vayavo Amalek is that there's no explanation. What in the world were they looking for? We didn't have a Torah. We did not get the Torah yet when they came to fight us. So if they were wanting to fight against our religion, we didn't really have one yet. It wasn't defined. We were in the desert, so we didn't have a country. So if they were fighting the idea of the message of the land of Israel, it's not a thing, because we didn't have a land. We were a bunch of slaves walking through a desert, and that bothered them so much. So what was their idea of Vayavo Amalek? Why did they come? And so obviously there are many answers. What was the motivation for Amalek to fight against the Jewish people? But one of the options is to look in the pasuk, in the right before the war against Amalek. Am Yisrael say to Moshe, Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin. The pasuk that introduces Amalek is a question the Jewish people are asking. Is Hashem b'kirbeinu? They're not asking, is there a God? Because the day before they were in Yam Suf, they saw the ocean split. They saw frogs jump out of jugs. They saw blood turn into water and water turn into blood. They saw darkness that was in one area and wasn't in another. There was no question in their mind that there is a God. But there was a question. What is the relevance of Hashem b'kirbeinu? Okay, so there's a God. So what does that mean that he's part of me? This random Joe Schmo walking around in the world? Is he has any relationship with me? I don't have a Torah. There are no mitzvot that they've been given. I don't really know. Is there a connection? Is God in us? And then Vayavo Amalek. Amalek comes as a result of maybe the most important question. Confidence. The question that the Jewish people are asking is, I know that there can be a great experience. I know that there can be a great God. I know that there could be a great redemption. But does that mean that when I'm looking in the mirror that I see a different person, that I look at myself as a different potential, that I see the concept of me being renewed by the new revelation? Or is the new revelation something beyond? And amalek understands that the only thing that they need to fight against is clarity. Because the moment that someone is clear, not only that there is a God, but that they were chosen by God, you can't stop that person. We know the famous story of a Hasidic Rebbe. Some people tell it about Baal Tanya, that he's in jail. Sitting there in jail, someone walks in, puts a gun to his head, says, Rabbi, I'm going to shoot. He smiles. So the policeman looks at Baal Tanya. He's like, I have a gun, you don't. What are you smiling for? I should be smiling. I control you. He says, if you have one world, you're right. A gun controls a person. But when you have two worlds, your gun is just my key into the next. You can't control me. When someone really believes that God is within them, there is no stopping them. And so amalek understands this. They realize that if Am Yisrael get the answer, that God is within them, there is no stopping these people forever. There's no stopping something infinite, no matter how finite you want to do it. With guns, with gas, with wars, you can do whatever you want, but it's finite. The moment that a person sees himself as infinite, there is no way that you can ever stop it. And therefore, amalek is scared of our confidence. They're scared of our clarity. They're scared of us not doubting ourselves. And the only thing that amalek says is, are you sure? Or prove it to me. Am Yisrael is so excited. And all they have to say is, are you sure? You sure that God chose you? Do you have proof? Give me a document. Give me a Torah. You sure? Prove it. Those are the scariest two questions you can ever ask a person that's connected to something infinite, because you can't prove it. Something infinite is not something that is without doubt, because there is a tension between a person who's finite that believes in God that's infinite. There's tension. Because you're finite, you're like, well, maybe God doesn't like me. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't. There's no obvious. God doesn't speak to us on a daily basis clearly. And so amalek tune into this doubt. They tune into this lack of confidence. So what's our reaction to amalek? Our reaction to amalek is, you're right. I have no proof. And therefore, I'm going to fight for it forever. You go over to a person, you say to them, are you sure you chose the right profession? They're not. You go over to a person, you say to them, are you sure you chose the right spouse? There's no way to prove it. And in those things that there's so much doubt, there's so much potential for work. And that's the greatest present God gives us if we really understand how to fight against amalek. Amalek see the doubt. They see the problem between the finite and the infinite, and the infinite, and they say if there's doubt, the game is over. God doesn't love you, and we say the opposite. If there's doubt, it means that God believes. It means that God is saying to us, I believe in you. Because wherever there's clarity, there's no need for work. Wherever there's obvious, wherever anything is 100%, then the game is over. When you play a Super Bowl against Tom Brady, it's not really super. It's just so obvious. There's no question. So no one comes to the game, even Mahomes. He doesn't come because it's so obvious. But that's exactly what Am Yisrael need to say to Amalek, it's not obvious. Our world is torn. There is doubt. There is no clarity. And therefore, I'm going to get involved. I'm going to throw another pass. And I'm going to make another offensive play. And I'm going to be more creative. And I'm going to find more and more answers for how to deal with the deepest question that Amalek is asking us. Are you sure that God is in you? And Baruch Hashem B'siyata D'Ishmaya this Friday, as we go into Rosh Chodesh Adar, or Eitan is going to put on his tefillin for the first time. If you saw the excitement that he had when he was putting the parshiot in, you'd be like, "Oh my God, it's never going to extinguish this love." But someone a little bit older might say to him when he's putting his tefillin on, or Eitan, in another year or two, you're not going to feel the same way. And what Oritan's going to say back is, that's an Amalek sentence. Because it's true. You're not going to feel that way in 2 years. But that doesn't scare me. That excites me. It excites me that I don't have God saying to me every second, here's the obvious answer. Because it means I need to make the answer. It means that God believes in me, and therefore He creates the doubt for me. Shabbat Shalom.